Welcome. I'm Gina, and today we're going to do a yoga sequence for digestion. You can do this on your mat or in the chair, either way. But we'll get started just in a really super comfortable seat. So, thinking about whether that means crossing your legs or whether that means you're seated in a chair with your feet about hip width distance apart, and your knees above the ankles, hips in front of the knees. If it's difficult or uncomfortable for you to sit unsupported, you might put a pillow behind or scoot back in your chair so you have a little bit of low back support. Because we're going to settle in here and close your eyes if that feels good to you. Or you can simply lower your gaze, have a half gaze, kind of make your eyes go fuzzy. And we'll come into this place, come into your space, and come into your inner landscape. So what's going on in your body today? And we'll label it without judgment. So however you're feeling, however your body is feeling, whatever's going on in your head, we'll simply identify it and say that's okay and move on. Find your breath. Whatever's going on in the outer world, we're gonna put it on pause for a moment and find the breath. Invite the breath down into the belly. When the thoughts come, we can say, thank you very much. I'm going to think about you in a little bit. Let the thoughts carry on. You can put the hands on the belly. Feel them rise as you inhale and sink on the exhale. Letting the diaphragm do the work of helping the air draw into the base of the lungs. And if you'd like to set an intention for your practice, now is a good time to do so. Maybe I'm staying in the present moment. I'm calm. I'm focusing on my breath. Maybe it's something like I'm joyful, I'm self-compassionate. Send it out into the universe. Let the universe conspire to make it so. And then I'll invite you to extend the exhale. So inhaling through the mouth. And a long, slow exhale, maybe through the mouth or the nose. Inhaling through the nose. And a long, slow exhale. Inhaling through the nose. And let it all out. We'll start with some seated cat-cows. So rounding the spine into cat pose. And then looking up, tipping the pelvis. Put a back bend in your spine into cow pose. We'll do a couple of these moving with your breath. You can move as quickly or as slowly as feels good in your body today. More important to be breathing and to listen to your body than it is to go big or go fast. We'll do one more set here. And come up into a nice tall seat on your mat or on your chair. And we'll do some side bending next. So inhale, the arms up overhead, or you can have one arm on the floor or on your seat for stability, getting really tall in the left side, and then tipping the body over to the right, maybe looking up towards the left arm. Inhale to get tall, and exhale to sink into that side bend. And then we'll, on our next inhale, come up, take stock, maybe roll the shoulders in one direction and the other direction. And then we'll do the same on the opposite side. So inhaling, one or both arms up, really getting long on the right side, and tipping the body to the left, pressing into the feet, pressing into the sits bones, make yourself really stable. And then inhale to get long, and exhale to come deeper into that side bend. Making sure you're still breathing, maybe looking up at the opposite arm. And on the next inhale, come up to your nice tall seat. And again, maybe you want to roll the shoulders in one direction or the other direction. Now we're going to do that same side bend a little more dynamically. One breath, one movement. Make it fluid, make it your own. Inhaling to come over to the right. Exhaling through center. And then inhaling over to the left. And if this feels really fast, feel free to stay for a whole breath on one side before you come back up. Inhaling, exhaling, and inhaling to the other side. We'll do a few more rounds like this. Again, you can use both arms. You can leave the arms up for more strength building. Make it your own, or you can have both hands on the ground or on your seat. Make it accessible for you. And then at the end of your next round, we'll come back into that nice tall seat, roll out the wrists in one direction and the other direction. Shake them out. Maybe wiggle a little bit. Walk back in on your hips and sits bones. We're going to come into the low body, and we're going to start with some hip circles, and we'll get into a really good pose for digestion. You can do this if your leg wants to move on its own, wonderful. If your leg is a little bit sluggish or feels heavy today, it's fine to use the arms to help you out, or maybe you have a strap and you put the strap underneath the leg, and that can help as well. We're lubricating the joints by moving them. Motion is lotion. The more we move, the easier it is to move. So once you get into a yoga habit, once you are doing a little bit of stretching every day, it becomes a lot easier to do. And don't forget to go the opposite direction as well. All right, so now we've put a little motion into that hip. We're going to do wind removing pose on this side. You can do this lying down on your back, or you can do this seated in a chair. And we're going to do the right leg first, bringing the right knee up, interlacing the fingers in front of the right knee and pulling that knee in towards the right shoulder. And as we do this, we are massaging the intestines. You might rock just a little bit side to side if you want until you find that good place. There might be a little pinch in the hip, which is fine. Again, the feeling of stretching is good. The feeling of sharp pain, not so much. If you feel sharp pain, stop what you're doing, reassess, come back to the pose slowly, if at all. And then a nice little squeeze here. And we'll let that one go. Maybe opening and closing the knee, or moving the ankle a little bit, whatever you need to do as a little counter pose there. Maybe stretch the left leg out long, pointing the toes, flexing the toes, pointing the toes, and flexing the toes, and then bring it back to its place underneath the knee. And again, if you aren't aware, visualizing the movement that you want your body to do can be just as powerful as doing the movement. So there's been lots of studies that mental rehearsal is almost as good as physically moving your body when you want to practice new skills. So even if the toes aren't pointing and flexing quite the way you want them yet, visualizing, having positive intention, and putting in the mental work can be put you on the path to actually physically doing the posture. Let's switch over to the left side, and again, we'll start with those hip circles in one direction and the other direction. And again, you can grab onto the knee or hold underneath the thigh, or if it worked well for you to use the strap, that can be a great tool as well. We're just putting some movement in the hip. As always, if you feel a little bit of crunch or you feel some cartilage moving, as long as there's no pain, you're unlikely to be doing any kind of damage. So just listen to your body and go as far as your body wants to go today. We're a different body every day. And then we'll come into the wind removing pose on this side. So again, interlocking the fingers in front of the shin, below the knee, and then squeezing the left knee towards the left shoulder, feeling the pinch in the left hip, sitting up nice and tall, squeezing the left leg towards the left shoulder. Again, you might rock back and forth a little bit until you find that spot that's right in the middle. Squeeze the leg towards the armpit, and then we'll let it go, opening and closing the knee, moving the ankle, maybe extending the leg to point and flex the toes, visualizing it if it's not quite as dramatic or big of a movement as you would like yet. And then coming back into a nice wide seat, or you can, if you are comfortable standing, you could stand in a wide-legged stance. We're going to come into a wide-legged forward fold. So come down slowly at first, sitting up nice and tall, walking down the legs, being mindful of the low back, just coming as far down as feels good to you today. And if the floor feels really far away, put a block or maybe even 2 blocks or books in front of you so that you can bring the floor up to you. That can give you some more stability by something to press the hands into, shake the head, yes, 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 and no, no, no. Twists are really good for our digestive system. They kind of manipulate the internal organs and help kind of stretch everything out, keep it regular. So we're going to twist here, pressing into the right hand and looking over the left shoulder. You might put the left hand on the hip if that feels like the right place, or you might extend the right hand up towards the ceiling if that feels like the right place today, or you might tuck the left hand behind, reaching for the right thigh if that feels right to you today. So experiment, play around with it, see what feels good. Press into the feet, keep the knees nice and wide. Sometimes there's a tendency for the knees to fall in, so keep them pressed out. And we'll take a nice big inhale here. And exhale. And come back into that wide-legged forward fold. Shaking the head, yes and no. And pressing down into the left hand so we can do that twist on the opposite side. So looking towards the right, maybe you bring the right hand to the right hip. Maybe you extend the right hand up high. Or maybe you tuck the right hand behind you and reach for the left hip. Breathing in here. And let it go. And one more. And on your exhale, we'll come back into that wide-legged forward fold. And we'll come up slowly. You can move the hands to the thighs, walking up, bringing the head up last so you don't get a head rush. Take your time here. You might feel the heart beating fast after that inversion, and inversions anytime the head is beneath the hips. And we'll do a little more gentle twisting here, inhaling to one side, pressing on the inside of the right thigh, exhaling to center, inhaling over the right shoulder, pressing the left hand into the left inner thigh, and coming back to center and moving with your breath, inhaling and exhaling and inhaling and exhaling. Move at your pace, whatever feels good to you today. We'll do one more set, one on each side. And then coming back to a nice tall seat. We're going to use one of the blocks, or again, a book or anything, a pillow even, to press the knees together. So we'll build some strength here. Press the feet down into the floor. Press the knees in towards one another. We're going to give ourselves a nice big hug. So open wide. Give yourself a nice big hug here. Squeezing the knees together. Lifting the elbows up towards the ceiling. And then down towards the belly. Up towards the ceiling. I wasn't squeezing hard enough. And then down towards the belly. And then let the arms go. Remember which arm was on top. We can take a little break here. Open and close the knees. And we'll do a little more strength building. Squeezing the block between the thighs. Opening the arms. Bringing the opposite arm on top. Inhaling. Bringing the elbows up. And exhaling, letting them drop, feeling the stretch in the upper back, squeezing the knees in, pressing the feet down, inhaling, elbows up, and exhaling, elbows down. And then shake that out. You can remove the block, and then maybe you windshield wiper the knees one direction, the other direction, or maybe you open and close them. Maybe you march the feet if that feels good. Lovely. And then we'll come back into our nice, tall seat, this time crossing one leg over the other. If this feels like that's not going to happen today, you can always cross at the ankles. That's totally fine. Or you can cross at the knees. It's up to you. We're going to squeeze the hips together, squeeze the knees together, and then twist over the right shoulder. So my right leg is on top. I'm twisting over the right. And coming back to center, do a little counter twist to the left. And from this position, we're going to do some lion's breath, which is a nice energizing breath in through the nose, out through the mouth with the tongue out. It looks like this. We'll do one more into the nose and out through the mouth. And there's an arm position that we can try alongside this lion's breath. So if you want to try it, I recommend using a strap because a lot of people just don't have the flexibility, myself included, to grasp for opposite fingertips behind their back. So I'm going to recommend using a strap for this one, bringing the right arm up and over so that the elbow is pointing up. I'm dangling the strap behind so that my left hand can reach the strap behind the back. So I can walk the fingertips closer, closer, closer together. Maybe one day they'll touch in this lifetime or the next. Left leg is crossed over, right leg is crossed over the left. And we'll do a lion's breath here. Inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the mouth. Lovely. If you'd like, you can do a little bit of ab work by coming down and touching the elbow to the knee and back up nice and tall. Crunch the elbow to the knee and coming up nice and tall. And one last one, touching the elbow to the knee and then coming up nice and tall, letting go with that bottom hand, bringing the top arm up and over, and then we'll switch to the other side. So this time I'm going to bring my left leg over the right. And again, if crossing at the knee feels like it's not going to happen today, feel free to cross at the ankle and squeeze the legs together, zip them up. That's totally fine. If you are able to cross at the knee, we'll drive the right foot down into the ground to make a really sturdy base, squeezing the thighs together. And then bringing the left hand with the strap up and over, dangling the strap behind and using the right hand to reach for the strap so that we can walk the fingertips closer towards one another. Maybe they touch and maybe they don't, and it doesn't really matter. What we're looking for is a nice tall seat and a little bit of stretch in the shoulders and the arms. We'll try our lion's breath here, inhaling through the nose and exhaling through an open mouth. Inhaling through the nose and exhaling through an open mouth. One more. And if you want to try some crunches on this side, we'll bring the elbow towards the knee and back up nice and tall, and then the elbow towards the knee and up nice and tall. And one more, bring the elbow towards the knee, coming up nice and tall, and then letting go with the right hand, letting go of the strap with the left hand, uncrossing the legs and coming into a really nice, comfortable seat, or you can lie down for our final relaxation. So from here, we're just going to let it all go. So close your eyes if you like. Check in with your body. Where do you feel the breath? Is it in the chest? Is it in the ribs? Is it in the belly? Let your palms be face up to receive energy. or palms face down if you need some grounding and some stability today. And work on lengthening those exhales. Inhaling through the nose and making the exhale nice and long, prolonging the exhale. And then inhaling slowly, gently through the nose. And a nice, long exhale. You can carry on with this breathing pattern if it's working for you. And then bring to mind that intention that you set in the beginning of our time together. Cultivate that feeling. What would it be like to be someone who's really self-compassionate, really calm, really kind? Whatever it was that you were working on, really in the present moment, really following the breath. See how that feels. Try that on in your body. What does that emotion feel like? How does someone who embodies that act or carry themselves? What do they do? And then choose one very, very tiny action that you can take today to embody that intention. One very, very small thing. And give some gratitude for our digestive system, starting all the way at the lips. Gratitude for the very beginning of our digestive system, when the food first passes the lips. And some gratitude for the teeth that chew our food. And gratitude for the tongue that moves it around, that allows us to swallow. Some gratitude for our salivary glands and the esophagus, that muscle squeezing the food down from the throat all the way into the stomach. Gratitude for the stomach that mixes the food, that adds the acid, that breaks things down into their component parts. And some gratitude for the small intestine that allows the nutrients to be absorbed into our bloodstream, to carry those nutrients all the way through our body to every cell. Some gratitude for our large intestine that helps remove the water and pass the waste down into the colon. And some gratitude that we have a system that we can eliminate the waste that we don't need so that we can feel empty and make room for our next meal. I invite you to take one final deep breath in and let it out with a big sigh. And if your eyes are closed, generate some heat, some friction between the hands. Cover the eyes. Blink them open slowly. Maybe you give yourself a little face massage, a little temple massage, a little neck massage. Thanks for practicing with me today. Have a great one. Namaste.